The characters in Forsaken are kind of peak, and honestly, everyone wants more of them. With this being said, we are going to be designing new Forsaken characters, talking about abilities and potential movesets they could have, alongside, the general inspirations in their designs and the games they come from. I asked for help from some of you guys in my Discord server, link in description, to give me ideas and to help me figure out abilities and movesets that these concepts for Forsaken characters, survivors, and killers could have. And thank you so much to these people, specifically also Combine and Aphid, for giving me the ideas. Thank you so much. These people really helped out, and if you want to be a part of videos like this, then feel free to join. Before we get started, I do want to state that one of the characters I will be designing and talking about in this video is on the Forsaken blacklist for games that won't have their characters in the game ever added. So with this being said, just take it with a little bit of grain of salt. Just think of it as a concept I made for fun, more than an actual character that I want implemented into the game. And that's how they're supposed to be. Without further ado, let's get started. First up, from the hit game Flee the Facility, we have the Beast. Now, is this an original idea? Probably not. There's probably other people who have thought of this. However, is it one that I would love to see as a killer in Forsaken? Absolutely. We all know the Flee the Facility Beast. And for its design, I decided that I would be using the Flee the Facility Beast from the merch shop and from the images in the Flee the Facility preview images in order to make this design, instead of just it having be a random noob with the hammer and the gemstone. So let's talk about some ideas for the actual abilities and stats that we could see for the Beast as a killer in Forsaken. HP would probably be something around 1,500, sprint speed would probably be something around 27, with 115 stamina. Now onto actual moves. The passive move would probably be something like Forever Frozen, similar to how the freeze pods are in the actual game of Flee the Facility. It would apply knockdown to survivors upon reaching 0 HP, drag them to freeze pods randomly scattered with ability. Survivors are able to free them from pods, able to kill survivors if knocked down. I feel like this would bring some sort of environmental change. While it would be hard to implement or code into the game, it would be really interesting. M1 move, swing forward with hammer, deal 40 damage to anyone in range. This would also be really interesting, and would hint towards the actual mechanics in Flee. Q, unbroken feather, shoot a rope towards and latch onto survivors. Knocked survivors are dragged along, standing survivors are put into minigame. Winning breaks, rope, and sets on cooldown. Losing puts into temperature lockdown state, and that would be really interesting as well, combining the freeze tactic and just the overall beast mechanic in Flee. E would be something like hammer slam, slam hammer down in front of you, deals 50 damage, cannot kill survivors but deals more damage than the M1 move. R would be beastly charge, roar for a second or two, and gain a massive speed boost, similar to the Q runner in Flee. Faster but weaker than M1s, cannot use abilities during it. As I said earlier, the actual design isn't just a noob with the classic Flee the Facility hammer and gemstone, and I instead decided to make it based off of the merch shop Beast and the Beast in the preview images, which I feel like fit the character more, as it wouldn't just be some random noob, and would actually look like a Flee the Facility character or beast or player. I gave the Beast not the classic hammer, the gray and black one, but rather the one from its actual images, where I decided to make it more reddish. And I also decided to make the design overall more reddish pinkish. The notes on the abilities and moveset were written by Combine, so thank you very much to him for these ideas. If you guys have your own ideas, feel free to suggest on how the Beast would work, and tell me what you would change about his design. Now, switching over to the next one. If you are enjoying the video so far, you should totally like, comment, subscribe, whatever. Do whatever it takes. Boost the video, please. Anyways, so next one is from the most epic peak game ever, Blocktails. I understand that Blocktails is on the blacklist. However, I am still making a design for fun because I absolutely love Blocktails and I love Cruel King. First off, Cruel King, why him? Griefer has the bubonic plant. Hatred is coupled with all the others like fear, greed, and solitude. So Cruel King really stands out when it comes to the demos because he's the only main villain in his demo alone, while the other ones, as I said, are coupled with different versions. Here's the interesting part though. I think Cruel King would be better as a survivor, mainly because Cruel King, once you defeat him and he goes into the dream world, he genuinely becomes a good guy and starts training you rather than trying to kill you all the time. So let's talk about his stats and moveset, abilities, and his HP and whatever. He would probably have 150 HP as a survivor, 23 sprint speed, and 100 stamina. Q ability, Frost Stab, swings ice dagger forward, stuns for 1.5 seconds, and applies slowness for a few more seconds. E ability, Blessing of Blackrock, referring to his kingdom in Block Tales, applies 1 to 2 nearby survivors with an icy aura, will apply slowness to the killer for a few seconds if survivor is damaged by a melee attack. Generally keeps the design from the original game as well, with only a few changes. For example, I decided that later on in this drawing, as you'll see, I gave him the ice shattered parts on his face and on his shirt and on his arm, similar to how the fandom usually draws him, with the ice on him after he gets defeated by the player. Now, originally I was thinking of Cruel King to be a killer, which would make sense as he's a major villain. However, I feel like it would be more interesting if he had a skin of his normal version, and then a skin of him with a different, more blue version with more icy features. However, for the most part, I'll just be drawing him with the few icy features and his normal design. I think Cruel King would be a really interesting person to add to the game. However, it's unfortunate that he can't be added because Block Tales is on the blacklist. So yeah, whatever thoughts you guys have, please comment down below, and on to the next one. Now, this next one is going to seem very random. However, this is probably my favorite out of all the designs that I got suggested, and I feel like it was really fun to draw as well because it's so different from the other two. If you could not tell already, this is the disaster weather machine from Natural Disaster Survival, and this is such a creative idea, just in general. Taking this machine from a game that literally has no characters and making it into its own character. Now, obviously, this one would be a villain, and its entire theme would be killing you with natural disasters. Now, obviously, there is a lot you could do with this, and Aphid, the person that I asked to help me out with this, he wrote so much in a TXT file, and he showed me so many different things that were just amazing, and I can't fit it into this video. So I will leave a link to a Google Doc that will have all the information needed to know about this one if you want to go check that out. So let's talk about the stats and abilities of the Natural Disaster Survival Weather Machine Killer. Now, this one would be an absolute behemoth, with 5,000 HP, 23 sprint speed, 130 stamina. Passive ability would probably be Frame of Steel. Only take knockback and slowness from stuns, making it immune to complete shutdowns. M1 would be Stomp Forward, which deals 50 damage. Now here's where it gets interesting with the Q ability, Disaster Simulation. Use one of the 10 disaster abilities in order to damage the player. It would be something like Flood, Tornado, Thunderstorm, other things like that, in order to damage the player, all with different mechanics. For example, Flood would create a large pool of water which applies slowness to survivors standing on it. Something like that. Now, the other abilities are definitely piled into the same idea, with R being something like Flame Blitz. Charge forward and leave a trail of fire. Deals damage to survivors hit by the charge, and burning to survivors who step on the trail. There are so many other moves and potential moves you could make for a killer like this, and that's what makes it so interesting. I absolutely love this concept, and it has to be my favorite out of the three that I've drawn. The second would probably be the Beast from Flee the Facility. Thank you to Combine and Aphid for this one, mainly Aphid for the actual design and concept and overall mechanics of this one in general. I feel like this killer is super interesting, has so much potential, and I really hope that something like this gets added into the game. Design-wise, of course, this is just the weather machine, and it has the number 7 on it, mainly because of the badge of surviving 7 disasters, which is super rare, and is just iconic to the game of natural disaster survival in itself. I feel like this one's really interesting, so feel free to comment down your ideas. Here's the design, and onto the outro. I cannot emphasize this enough, but thank you to Combine and Aphid for giving me all the ideas that I needed and all the information that I needed on designing each of these concepts for Forsaken. Forsaken, I feel like, is already a very community-oriented game, and it would be much more interesting if we see more killers and survivors implemented into the game, similar to how I designed and made these concepts. It would be really fun to see what the community can create up with, because we all know that the community has very creative ideas. Feel free to comment down your takes on each of these designs and each of these concepts, and feel free to mention your own ideas on ones that you might want to see mentioned if I do a part 2 on this video. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and like, and also drink water.